Excuse me, ma'am. There's no eating in the museum. I'll have to take those, please.
Trust me, you want me to eat these crackers.
There are signs posted. No food or beverages allowed in the gallery.
If I don't eat these crackers right now, you're going to have a new kind of modern art on your
I don't
floor.
make the rules, okay?
Gina Davis decides to go it alone as a single parent and have a baby out of wedlock in Angie, one of 5 big movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with new pictures starring Michael J. Fox, Kirk Douglas, Charlie Sheen, and model Elle Macpherson, making her movie debut. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first film is Angie, and it's another example of the recent Hollywood tendency to advertise every movie as a comedy, even if it's not. Forget those jolly ads and coming attractions trailers. Angie plays like a slice of life about one of those women on the daytime talk shows who have been given more problems than any one person should be asked to bear. The movie stars Gina Davis as a young woman from Brooklyn who gets pregnant with a boyfriend who she then decides she doesn't love. At this precise moment, she meets a cute guy in an art museum, and who knows, he may not be Mr. Right, but he sure feels warm and fuzzy. He's played by Stephen Ray from The Crying Game.
You seem to really like that Degas painting.
Yeah, well, looks like a lot of marriages I've seen. So what are you, some kind of artist or something?
Me? I'm an international lawyer. You?
Brain surgeon, Mount Sinai.
At home, Angie has problems with her stepmother, who fights with her all the time, and with her father, who she resents because she thinks he let her mother run away and disappear when Angie was only 3.
I'm watching, huh? In my day, women did not need Lamaze or VCRs in the delivery room or any of that business.
Of course, they all had drugs. They slept through the whole thing.
Really? Well, I can tell you that there were a lot fewer cesareans.
Of course, the mothers were all 22. They didn't wait 10 years to get their careers going before they had kids.
Because motherhood was a career. The most important career.
Yeah, well, the pay stinks.
Angie's best friend is played by Aida Turturro. She makes a list of some of the problems that Angie faces.
You're pregnant, you're getting married, you're carrying around some foreigner's number in your pocket like it's going to burn too big a hole to be lost someplace in the bag. I think you want to call him. You're going to end up on Oprah.
Yeah, she qualifies for Oprah all right. In addition to hating her stepmother and having trouble with both of her boyfriends, she also faces problems with her baby, plus her obsession with her long-lost mother. This could be a whole week of Oprah shows.
I know you can be cold sometimes, but you got a baby now, Angela.
You don't understand.
No, I understand. I understand that if you don't go back, he's going to have to be by himself with doctors and hospitals. That you were going to put him through the same you went through your whole life?
He don't want me, all right? I know that sounds crazy, but it's like he knows that everything is my fault.
Oh, come on, that is pathetic. To throw your f***ness onto the poor little baby.
I don't deserve him.
You don't deserve him. You're his mother.
Now, maybe one of my problems with Angie is that so many of my expectations were wrong. It's well acted, and I guess it means well, but the movie really lays it on thick. I walked in expecting a comedy, and here's this non-stop soap opera in which poor Angie has to face one crisis after another. The whole business of Angie's child's health problems, for example, adds nothing to the movie. Nor do we really want those scenes where Angie seems to hate the baby. Nor do the scenes with her long-lost mother pay off in any useful way. Because this is a Hollywood movie, of course, Angie has a happy ending. If the movie had been made in France, Angie would have probably shot herself.
Well, Roger, I'm going to disagree with you pretty strongly on this, and I'll tell you why. I think that you are penalizing the film for your expectations, and the trailer is completely phony, and you're right. But then once the movie starts, I think you have an obligation to stay with the picture. And
I did stay with the picture, but the picture, Gene, was shameless in its manipulation of our emotion, throwing one corny melodramatic situation after another
No. Here's what happened. The movie surprised you, and it surprised me. You said so in your review. I didn't expect the Stephen Ray character to turn out the way he did, and neither did you. I know that. I didn't expect the stepmother to turn out quite that way, and that surprised me. I didn't expect the things with the baby. Let me just finish.
Did it pay off?
Yes, because all of these situations are more like life than the kind of Hollywood cornball stuff that you and I sit here and criticize every single week. The ending is wrong. The ending is soft. But what leads up to it, I think, is very real.
Gene, didn't you feel that you were being manipulated at every moment by writers who were saying we're going to throw in this problem, we're going to throw in that problem?
I was surprised. You said you were surprised. I was surprised, too.
You were pleasantly surprised,
yes.
right? Okay, we disagree.
Well, you do. Our next movie is called China Moon, and I think it's something special, an attempt at a moody, old-fashioned film noir that really works with shadowy figures, a corruptible detective, and a femme fatale. Madeleine Stowe plays a woman in a bad marriage to an abusive rich husband, and Ed Harris is a cop really drawn to her after investigating a report about her being beaten up. The big question, will she leave her husband for him?
Divorce him. I love you. I know I can't give you what he can.
It's not it.
Whatever I got, it's yours. Whatever you want, I'll get. Whatever you need, I'll do.
The husband is played by Charles Dance, who excels at playing creeps.
I'm calling the police. Don't you touch me. Don't. No, don't you. No.
Go back in the morning.
No.
I just want my tone to go rise.
With a husband like that, you can see why Madeleine Stowe considers leaving him as she and Ed Harris go rowing on a Florida lake.
My grandmother used to call that a China moon. Like a big old plate of china. She said people would get affected by them. That they'd do strange things.
Do you believe that?
I don't know. You gonna do something strange?
I do feel like it sometimes.
They're very good together, and the less I tell you about what happens to them, the better, except to say that I was surprised, both in the story and in the work of Madeleine Stowe. I've been an Ed Harris fan ever since The Right Stuff, but Stowe now has 2 solid thrillers in the first 2 months of this year alone. First Blink, and now China Moon. Madeleine Stowe, very good at playing vulnerable, yet tough women. I recommend China Moon.
Boy, I sure do too. And you know, I like the movie for 2 reasons that you don't often find in the same movie. First of all, I tried and tried to figure out the plot and anticipate what was going to happen, and I failed.
Yep, me too.
And secondly, I was truly involved in the relationship between Madeleine Stowe and Ed Harris, just as I was in the relationship between Stowe and Aidan Quinn in Blink. In both of those movies, there's a genuine relationship in addition to the thriller stuff.
Yes, they frequently in these stories, and you see, we've seen so many attempts at these film noirs. Everyone wants to make one.
Yeah.
This is a rare one that actually succeeds, and they remembered they got the characters to work in addition to the story.
It's a great-looking film, too. When we come back, Kirk Douglas is an old millionaire surrounded by scheming relatives in Greedy.
I'll wrestle you for the money. What? I'll wrestle you. If you win, I'll give you $300,000.
Stop! I've got a metal plate in my head.
You do?
No!
I want security in the large conference room.
Money-grubbing relatives come to blows in their attempts to control who will inherit the fortune of their old Uncle Joe, played there by Kirk Douglas, in a scene from Greedy. And here's another movie like Angie that starts out as a comedy and then loses its way. Angie is a masterpiece in comparison with Greedy, however, which makes the mistake of taking a bubble-brained sitcom storyline and then treating it seriously. The movie consists of lots of scenes in which rude, stupid, and grasping relatives try to impress their rich old uncle, but the truth keeps slipping out.
Just 9 years old, he organized this lawn mowing company with the other 4th graders. He's preparing himself in case he has to take over a big business someday.
So you're interested in money, huh?
Uh-huh. Made $10 just coming here. I'd get another 20 if I kiss you. I'm thinking about it.
That's Ed Begley Jr. as one of the cousins there. The only relative Uncle Joe can really stand is the one who hasn't expressed an interest in his money, and that's another nephew played by Michael J. Fox, who is an unsuccessful professional bowler.
What do you do, listen outside my door?
Always.
You know, I had no idea just how sick you guys were.
Come spend a day with us.
What has all of the relatives panicked is Uncle Joe's recent acquisition of a sexy British so-called nurse played by Olivia d'Abo. They're afraid she'll get all the money.
Welcome home, Joe.
Hello, Molly. Tired, I'm going upstairs.
Greedy starts out with some undeniably funny lines and a lot of promise, and I thought it was going to be a nice, rude comedy of manners. But after a promising first act, the movie starts taking its ridiculous plot seriously, and the characters stand around discussing events in dialogue that is not funny or interesting or necessary. Then at the end, we have to sit through the fall and moral redemption of not one, but two characters, when everybody knows vice is a lot funnier than virtue.
Oh, I had the exact same reaction. I mean, it did start out funny, and I was reminded of Harold and Maude, where you saw a family really fight and, you know, go tooth and nail, and I thought, oh, this is going to be kind of fresh, and then it just got all sappy and moralistic. All the energy went out of the picture. I think Michael J. Fox and Kirk Douglas fell for that old trap. They want to play characters, or maybe they were just written that way. They want to play characters who are really likable. Why not play nasty?
Make them hateful. People love you when you play hateful characters. Another problem is with the cousins, who move in and out of the room like a rugby scrum. I mean, it's like the door opens and 6 people walk in and they all say their lines and then they all walk out again. There's no attempt to make them into individual characters.
Well, they were funny when they were being mean, but boy, the energy is just lost at the end of this picture. Coming up next, the film debut of supermodel Elle Macpherson, appropriately cast as one of 3 temptresses in the new romantic comedy called Sirens.
Sleeping? She sleeps next door and she snores terribly. I do not. She sounds like 2 possums mating.
That's cover girl Elle Macpherson as one of 3 modern-day sirens messing with the psyches of a young clergyman and his wife in 1930s Australia in the enchanting new film called Sirens, a story obviously modeled after Greek mythology. A young Episcopal priest is sent to the country home of a scandalous Australian artist who paints contemporary female nudes in religious settings. The clergyman's mission is to tame the beast, but of course the women, the sirens, do a job on him. Here's the opening conversation between the cleric, Hugh Grant, and his wife, Tara Fitzgerald, and the painter, Sam Neill, as his models look on.
You're very contemptuous of shrinking violets, aren't you, Mr. Lindsay?
Dear Stella, I'm a shrinking violet myself. I mean, I choose to live not in the real world, but in here. I flee from the real world into my little studio, and there before me is the unlimited canvas of my imagination.
Yes, but your paintings don't stay in the studio, do they? They do go out into the real world. And while you have a wonderful imagination, Lindsay, most people's are quite frankly stunted, and you have absolutely no idea what effect they might have on people or what they might incite them to. Rape?
Mr. Campion, in my opinion, the female body is the most beautiful thing in the world.
Elle Macpherson is one of the sirens who is very comfortable with her body, much to the consternation of the priest's young wife.
What'd you do to him? He's exhausted.
Anthony, don't wake him up. Well, he might be dreaming. And did you know it was dangerous to wake somebody up if they're dreaming? Because, well, you leave part of your brain behind. And if it happens too many times, you go feeble in the head.
Yeah. You're living proof.
It would be a mistake not to tell you that Macpherson and her sister Sirens appear completely nude in the film. The joy they feel in displaying their glorious bodies makes the simplest and most effective case for freedom of expression. However, we can only show you the scenes leading up to those moments.
Looks like you both had another punishing night.
I wish you wouldn't creep into our room every morning.
We've just been for a swim. I just wanted to tell you how nice the water was.
In addition to all of the luscious nudity, Sirens has a more traditional merit as a film. It's bright, witty, and very effective in its writing, and directing by someone whose work you should really know, Australian director John Digan, the creator of such fine films as Flirting, The Year My Voice Broke, and Wide Sargasso Sea. I've thoroughly enjoyed each of his pictures. They're all whimsical and all sensual. John Digan is his name, and Sirens is his latest considerable achievement.
You know, what Digan does is he takes eroticism seriously while at the same time not taking it in an adolescent peep show sort of way. In all of his films, he deals with the ways that people legitimately and genuinely do feel about each other in sexual situations. And you don't get the feeling that he's sniggering or that he's peeping or anything like that. And in this film, there's a nice warm sense of the fact that this marriage between the clergyman and his wife is actually improved by their exposure to these terrible people.
And you know what? It also translates to the actors in John Digan's films. I think that they're very comfortable and very free-flowing. I'll bet you that Elle Macpherson in a Hollywood film would no more take all of her clothes off than anything else. Here, I think it's honorable, it's exciting, it's joyful, and it makes a lot of sense.
Another name people should notice is Hugh Grant, who plays the clergyman here and has 2 other films coming out at about the same time, Roman Polanski's Bitter Moon and a new comedy from England called 4 Weddings and a Funeral. So he's got It's kind of like a Hugh Grant film festival this spring at the movies. When we come back, Charlie Sheen spends most of a movie in the front seat of a speeding car in the chase.
You kidnapped me with a candy bar?
Makes a handy weapon. On this program, this one at least delivers what it promises. It is a chase from beginning to end, with Charlie Sheen as an escaped convict who kidnaps a rich kid and commandeers her car for a high-speed police pursuit down California highways toward Mexico. His hostage is played very winningly by Christy Swanson, and during the course of the chase, they get to talking and find out that they like each other.
Believe it or not, when I was holding the gun to your back, I couldn't help but notice how lovely your hair smelled.
You're crazy.
Meanwhile, the movie has a lot of fun with the television news coverage of the event.
You know, Byron, it's easy for us reporting this story to forget there's a very scared little girl inside that car.
You haven't been with a woman in a couple of years?
In the back seat of one of the pursuit vehicles is a camera crew from a tabloid TV show.
I feel like a combination of Bruce Springsteen and Sylvester Stallone out there. I don't know whether I'd be busting bad guys or signing autographs. I'm kind of like being a star.
Also joining the chase are Flea and Anthony Kiedis as a couple of Wayne's World clones who want a piece of the action.
We are just doing our duty as Americans, right, Will? That's right. And it's not the first time we've had to take matters into our own hands.
Now, I'm not recommending this movie either. It's really very thin, more of a technical exercise than a story, but at least it's slick and it has style, and I did enjoy the performances by Sheen and Swanson. And the movie takes a lot of funny pot shots at the way stories like this one get exploited as live TV coverage. Terror on the highway. The Chase is the kind of movie you forget 24 hours after you see it, but it has its moments, and for me, this was a close call, but thumbs down.
Thumbs down for me, not a close call. I mean, if people are interested in this subject matter, there's a terrific film by Steven Spielberg.
Sugarland Express.
Sugarland Express, made 20 years ago.
Right.
The same themes, the same idea, but written with Goldie Hawn, written much tougher, and directed a whole lot better. I mean, I think that this picture is very flimsy, Roger, and the parodies of the Wayne's World guys.
I'm not recommending it, but at the same time, you must admit that the way they portray television news must have given you a few smiles.
It gives me a smile, but I think those are little kind of, 1 second bumper shots.
That's what I kind of like stuck into the corners of the movie, yes.
Very corners. Coming up next, our video pick of the week, one of the best films of 1993 that you undoubtedly missed the first time around.
Siskel and Ebert's Video Pick of the Week, brought to you by Orville Redenbacher, the first and last name in popcorn.
One of my 10 best films of last year, and Roger liked it too, was Steven Soderbergh's King of the Hill, based on A.E. Hotchner's remembrance of growing up virtually alone as a little boy in St. Louis during the Depression of the 1930s. The film never got much of an audience. Now it's out on home video. You have a second chance. Jesse Bradford, in one of the year's best performances, plays the youngster who, while his mother is in a hospital and his father travels as a salesman, is forced to invent a fantasy life to stay afloat at school.
My parents are archaeologists, and they were on an expedition, and nobody's heard from them in a while, so I guess they're missing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope they're okay. People looking for them?
Yeah, there's a search party and everything. You know, I'm not that worried. They've been lost lots of times.
He lives alone in a hotel room with the constant threat of being tossed out by the vicious bellhop in charge. And he gets a real education in what it means to be a grown-up by visiting neighbors across the hall, like a dissolute soul played by Spalding Gray and his concert for hire played by Elizabeth McGovern.
Lydia works for the hotel. Don't you, Lydia?
What is it that you do?
Oh, she's in the customer service department.
King of the Hill is a great film for older kids to see as a history lesson of the Depression, and every scene works as a drama apart from its historical context. King of the Hill, I promise you, it's one of the best films you missed last year. And now, it's my video pick of the week. Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. A split vote on Angie with Gina Davis. Roger found the single motherhood drama a series of soap opera crises. I liked it, particularly the way the story constantly surprised me with lifelike problems. So 1 thumb up, 1 down. 2 thumbs up, however, for China Moon, with strong performances by Madeline Stowe and Ed Harris in a convincing, moody film noir that will keep fooling you. 2 thumbs down for Greedy, a comedy with Kirk Douglas and Michael J. Fox that loses its way horribly when it reverts to a sappy, moralizing conclusion. 2 thumbs up for John Digan's Sirens, a wonderful romantic comedy about the joy of the human body. And 2 thumbs down for The Chase with Charlie Sheen, a 90-minute road trip to absolutely nowhere.
So, China Moon and Sirens, two very good movies, two very different movies.
And I think Angie's worth checking out.
Okay, that's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with the Hudsucker Proxy with slick Paul Newman exploiting innocent Tim Robbins.
Well, I guess so. I don't think they promoted me because they thought I was a schmo.
And Guarding Test, starring Shirley MacLaine as a former First Lady who makes life a nightmare for Secret Service man Nicolas Cage.
I need a price check and LeSueur baby peas. They're on special today, 2 for $59.
That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Hooked on Phonics teaches you to read using flashcards, music, and books. It's colorful, musical, and fun. Learn to read with Hooked on Phonics. Call 1-800-ABCDEFG. New St. Ives Swiss Formula Papaya Plus, the Gentle Shampoo Plus Conditioner, and one for naturally beautiful, healthy hair. New St. Ives Swiss Formula Papaya Plus. Vicks Vapor Inhaler for fast, effective relief of nasal congestion. Easy to carry and easy to use anytime, anywhere. Take a breather with the Vicks Vapor Inhaler. It's America's favorite jelly bean, Jelly Belly, now appearing at theaters and video stores with good taste. Jelly Belly beans, try them. You'll love them.